Well, the Packers beat the heck out of the 49ers, and PackReacts is 1-0 against the 49ers. That's more times than the Cowboys have against the 49ers in the playoffs recent years, folks. Just think about that. Cowboys still suck, and we have more wins than the Bears can ever get in the playoffs or Super Bowl, guys. That's just the facts about it. But let's head to some intro of Packer football.
This is Tom Grossi, and you're watching the PackReacts podcast.
Let's go.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to PackReacts. I'm your host, Jeremy Hadler, along with our other host, Mike Arvonio. And tonight, folks, we discuss this Packers blowout here against the San Francisco 49ers and then give you a preview for Jordan Love's hunger for the turkey leg because he needs his turkey leg, folks. And we'll be discussing, obviously, our trip because we were there at the game. So Mike will give his side, and I will give my side of our trip to Green Bay. And if you haven't already checked out my side of the video of my side of going to Green Bay, you can go check out my latest YouTube video of my trip there. But yeah, great trip, Mike. PackReacts 1-0 together.
Great, 1-0, and my undefeated streak at Lambeau continues.
There you go.
Although I don't know if you count the preseason game that didn't finish, but
it counts.
Still not defeated.
There you go.
I wouldn't call it a tie. It's just. Well, I think it's technically an official game, right? It's technically I did see a loss. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but I don't think it really had a. I'll look while you're talking. I'll look to see what ESPN has the official.
You could say as a regular season, Mike, it was undefeated. You've been to undefeated regular season games at Lambeau Field. We can say that.
Yeah, I mean, this day final Patriots 21, Packers 17. So I guess you got to count it as a loss. But I don't count as a loss. So I say I'm undefeated.
There you go. But yeah, so Packers blow out the 49ers here is what it says in our title of this episode. Packers blow out the 49ers 38-10. Yes, it was a blowout. It felt awesome to go to it. And yeah, of course, the 49ers didn't have some of their guys. But when you put up 38 points against your demons that have been very annoying to you for the past decade as Packer fans, that's got to feel great, Mike.
Yeah. I mean, they weren't at full capacity. They still had Kittle. They still had McCaffrey. They still had Debo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What about the linebacker? Was he playing? I don't even know.
Not Greenlaw, no. Greenlaw.
Fred Warner?
Fred Warner was playing, but he was playing hurt, they said.
Mm-hmm. I guess the whole team was hurt, huh?
Yeah.
But, no excuses. The NFL, Packers played really well. Although, they could have definitely had a more complete performance. I think 49ers just really didn't play that well. Mm-hmm. Josh Jacobs is the MVP by my standpoint. I think, Quay had a really good game.
He did.
McKinney had a good game. That's what I was thinking of.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Packers showed up. We showed up. Jeremy and I showed up. I had a fun trip back to reality now. Now I have to deal with the real world again. But, I got a little bit of escape for a week. But, yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the trip, Mike. Since we went to Lambeau and everything, let's hear from your side of how the trip was for you.
Yeah, I thought it was exciting. Got to hang out with some of our guests on the podcast.
There we go.
Big B was on. Met Wes in person.
There we go.
Shook Larry McCarron's hand.
Let's go.
Met some viewers of Cheesehead TV, maybe some followers of us, actually. Shout out Ian, who bought me a drink at the Cheesehead TV meetup. He was a follower. Maybe he'll join. Made some new friends. Jeff, I don't know if he's watching, but he was, we hung out before the game, before I met you, Jeremy. He said he'll come on the podcast soon. So hopefully we'll have some new guests moving forward.
Yep.
Played some football on Titletown Field. It was fun.
Nice.
Met Tyler.
There we go.
From Cheesehead TV. He was talking to Corey for about 15 minutes. That was a great experience. If you go on Packers Transplants, which you sent me the video of earlier, Jeremy, I'm there talking to Corey. It was a pretty surreal experience, I'll say. Wasn't expecting it all going in. I think coming out, a lot more contacts in the Packers blogosphere, and hopefully good things to come.
Awesome. And then for my side, I was just with family for majority of the weekend until the Packers Sunday game, until I got up to my pizza place, Sammy's, where I parked there. Met Mike, and that's our cover of the episode of if you want to see the cover of the photo, that's what me and Mike in the back there, if you look at it. So me and Mike finally met up in person in Wisconsin. We haven't met in person for over 2 years now, so it's been a while. So we got to do that. That was awesome. And then, of course, we go to our seats and everything. We get to witness the whole tailgate experience of just seeing the Packer fans everywhere around. And in that stadium was just awesome. Hearing the fans, seeing the action, just seeing the game in front of you was awesome.
Yeah. It was an exciting atmosphere. I think there was a lot of red in the crowd, but mostly Packers fans, I heard. Didn't really hear many 49ers fans, but there was a lot of red in the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think of any cool flyover. Just
flyover.
It's my 5th game at Lambeau now, so it's another game at Lambeau, but it was fun. Really leading up to it was really special for me. The game itself was kind of a blowout, so it wasn't super exciting. Back and forth, like last year's Saints game. That was a great way to end that game.
Yeah,
really exciting. But no, it was great to be there. So
nice. I think this was my 10th game at Lambeau, if I'm correct. So I've been to a game since 7th grade, except COVID. But I went to 2 games 1 year, my sophomore year of college. So yeah, it'd be 10 of 1 tie and a couple losses. I think I have 4 losses in total since I've
been there 10 times. Wow.
10 times, yeah.
This is my 5th. So 4 regular season, 1 preseason, 2 shutouts, 2 wins, and then 1 preseason game that didn't finish. That's technically, I guess, a loss.
I think since COVID time of me going to a Packers game, I think every game I've been to has been a blowout from either side. Either the Packers get blown out or the Packers blow somebody out.
You win the Vikings game.
I was at both Vikings games. I went to the Packers-Bears game in the first home opener they had. I think it was week 2 a couple years ago. Then I went to the Bucs game last year. That I considered a blowout pretty much. And then what else was there? That's this year. And yeah, past couple years have been blowouts for me, I would say.
Yeah. That was good.
Yeah. But it's a great game, though, to talk about for the Packers' sake, because the Packers finally beat their demons, Mike, of finally coming out of the gates, and they were hungry for this game, and they put on a show offensively, defensively, and even special teams too, I say, by winning 38-10 against the 49ers. And as I mentioned before, the 49ers didn't have some of their main weapons, but they did still have great weapons like CMC, even though he's banged up. You had George Kittle, you had Jennings, Deebo Samuel, you had Kyle Juszczyk. You had those players, and the Packers still won. You can't apologize in the NFL. We've learned this. You got to take the win. You play who you play, and you got to take the win. So that was awesome to see that. And then Jordan, I think he had a solid day. There were a couple throws that could have easily been intercepted. There was one that bobbled up in the air a couple times there from the 49ers. It was tipped off by Romeo Doubs, and then the 49er guy kept juggling, and he finally dropped it. But overall, I think Love had a good day. was 13 for 23 on completed passes. He had 163 passing yards, 2 passing TDs. He had 107.7 pass rating. But my MVP, Mike, and we are mentioning it, is Josh Jacobs for this game. Josh Jacobs is the reason why, Mike, in my opinion, that the Packers won this game, because the Packers kept running the ball. They won the time possession because of that. They kept taking care of the ball. No turnovers. Jordan Love didn't throw an interception for once, which was awesome. He didn't do that. And Josh Jacobs had 26 carries for 106 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns, even though most, I believe all of them were like less than 5-yard rushing TD of like 5 yards to distance to the goal line. He had Emmanuel Wilson, 9 carries with 41 rushing yards. He had amazing one play where he just sticks the guy and bounces off to the sidelines. That was awesome to see. I hit stick him there. Receiving end, it was good. I liked how they that one play of Tucker Kraft. He had 2 catches for 26 receiving yards. That 1 touchdown just froze it right in the middle. Love does kind of a little shove pass and bulldozes Josh Myers out of the way, and he runs it in for the touchdown. That was awesome to see that. Dobbs, he got a concussion. He had 3 catches for 54 receiving yards, so he was good up until the concussion he got. Jaden Reed, he had 3 catches for 26 receiving yards. Dontavian Wicks, 1 catch for 25 receiving yards. Malik Heath had that nice over-the-shoulder catch for the touchdown in the end. 2 catches for 15 receiving yards. Christian Watson, he did not have a single catch, not a receiving yard, even though he would have had the easiest touchdown, Mike, if he caught it right before the half, and that would have been a 45-yard touchdown right there, and the Packers could have been at 45, and that could have easily been a dagger at halftime, but luckily the Packers stopped them. The 49ers offense, because the defense came alive for once, Mike. I mean, you had Quay Walker, he had one of his best games. I would say his best game this season. You had Lucas Van Ness. He comes up. Keyshawn Nixon had a great day. He had a forced fumble. I mean, if we look at this defense, Mike, all the guys that everyone like is against of like not having a great of like who has been bad this year had a great game. Quay Walker, Keyshawn Nixon, Lucas Van Ness, like those were some of the guys that were like not having so great. Even Kenny Clark, he had a sack there and he put some pressure on the quarterback. Like those were good stuff to see that. So I applaud for that. Obviously, Xavier McKinney had that nice interception that went right through the hands of Deebo Samuel and almost took it to the house for a pick 6. That was awesome to see that. But yeah, it's just great overall, I would say. And special teams came alive. Daniel Whelan obviously having a great punt. His longest punt was a 59-yarder, which was awesome. And the Packers had to go against their old punter, Pat O'Donnell, who had 3 punts for 147 yards. His longest was a 56-yarder. So, yeah, I would say overall that the Packers played complimentary football, and I was very pleased about it.
Yeah. One thing I just want to hit on, Josh Jacobs. I think Josh Jacobs is the reason this team is 7-3.
Mm-hmm.
I think, honestly, we're probably a 500 team without Josh Jacobs. And, I know we were all sad to see Aaron Jones go, but this team does not be 7-3. Like I said, with Aaron Jones over Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
I think the main that's really what I want to hit on, because I was thinking about this a lot over the week. The difference between Josh Jacobs and Aaron Jones, combining the two, is Aaron Jones, one great guy, great NFL player, one of my favorite players. So not a knock on him at all, but he was not somebody that was the bell cow when it came to NFL running backs. That was supposed to be kind of the role that A.J. Dillon played in that kind of Aaron Jones lightning and thunder. Aaron Jones lightning, like thunder, A.J. Dillon role. And that's what I was hoping for if we had Josh Jacobs and Aaron Jones. And I still think that would have been the best case scenario. But I guess I still think we could have made it work. But I guess that wasn't in the cards, especially with kind of the way Aaron Jones felt he was being treated.
Yeah.
I think we missed out on having both of them. But, this is the type of running back the Packers need, somebody that you can hand the ball off to 20, 30 times a game, and, he just makes missed tackles, especially in the cold weather.
Oh, yeah.
It makes it that much harder to tackle somebody like him. And I think we're just starting to see the kind of surface of what he could be. I think as the weather turns, and it was pretty chilly on Sunday in Green Bay, but as the weather turns, I think this week on Thanksgiving is going to be a great. I don't know what the weather is going to be, but I'm sure it's not going to be very warm.
It's going to be in the 30s, I believe, Mike.
Yeah,
it's going to be very cold.
I think we're going to start to see what a guy like Josh Jacobs can do to open up this offense, because I still don't think Jordan Love's been having the best year. I said that in the stands. The guy next to me, very nice guy, but he was not happy with that comment. But I still don't think Jordan Love's having a great year. I think he's definitely looked a lot healthier since the bye. I don't think he's dealing with as many injuries. Had obviously that dime to Christian Watson that should have put the game away going into halftime.
Yeah,
which was dropped. But other than that, I mean, he definitely had some really important and key passes.
Yeah.
I still would say right now he's an above average quarterback in the league. I don't think he's at the elite level yet, which is, okay. We don't necessarily need an elite quarterback, but what we need then is a balanced running game and offense and passing attack, which I believe is what we have at the moment. So, I guess what I'm trying to get at is Josh Jacobs is so integral to this team right now and the success that we're having.
Yeah.
I think it's actually really exciting because as the weather turns, you're going to need someone like Josh Jacobs. It's going to be that much harder to tackle him when it's freezing out. So I'm excited. I think Josh Jacobs is the guy we needed. And I think it's going to be a real big help moving forward. Also got younger at the position. I really think that was the right move.
Yeah, definitely. It was definitely a good move. I mean, like, if we look back on the free agency, like, brought two key impactful players. You got Xavier McKinney and Josh Jacobs. Like, Packers don't do free agency very often. And what happens when they do it? They do it right. And Xavier McKinney looking like a first-team All-Pro safety. Josh Jacobs, I mean, besides Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley, best running back out there in the NFL. And Josh Jacobs has the most missed tackles in the NFL. He had over 15 in this game, Mike. 15 missed tackles against the Niners defense. Pretty impressive to see that. The one thing I do like of Josh Jacobs, and not to give a hard knock on Aaron Jones, is he can stay healthy and not always have to really depend on Josh Jacobs like we had to with Aaron Jones heavily. Now, we definitely need to open the game up to Josh Jacobs a lot more. But if Jordan can balance a bit, if this offense can balance it out with the passing and to run the ball with Josh Jacobs, I'd be very happy about that, because last year's offense, I think they heavily had to rely on Aaron Jones a lot just to get the offense going. But I think, Mike, I'll say this, with that, when Jordan went out and Malik Willis came in, I think that helped Matt LaFleur come up with a better game plan, because what we saw this past game, utilizing Malik Willis's game plan into Jordan Love has been effective, especially with the run game. If you can control the time possession and run the ball as much as you can with Josh Jacobs, this team does very well. They have done very well, because when this team runs the ball well, we succeed. When you don't, they don't succeed, because it's been annoying. It's like Packers could have, in other games, like you go back to the Lions game, they stopped running the ball for a bit. And they stopped running the ball in the Lions game when he about had over 100 rushing yards, and they stopped running the ball with Josh Jacobs, really. You kept running the ball with Josh Jacobs, could have been a lot closer game. Maybe you win that game, or maybe not, but you make it a lot closer game in that Lions game, folks. So that's one thing I like to say is with Matt LaFleur, having that Malik Willis game plan implemented to Jordan Love will help this offense a lot, because this is a playoff contending team. I will say that. Super Bowl, that's a bit of a stretch at this point now, because if we look at this team is capable of going to the Super Bowl. This team is capable of winning like great games, Mike. But this team has to come together and limit mistakes. When this offense gets really hot, like he went 5 for 5 in the red zone, then you know this team's going to go. It's really about, can Jordan Love get hot like last year? Because up until this point, he's playing like the same way he was last year. He needs to get on that hot streak and get on a hot stretch. And this offense is going to be very good. And one thing I would like the Packers to incorporate more is Tucker Kraft, because Tucker Kraft needs to get the ball a little bit more, I will say, in the pass game, because when he gets involved, he does an amazing job every time he's thrown to. So I would like that for Packers offense.
Yeah. Kraft had another big game on Sunday. So, yeah, I was saying this actually at the game. Who I haven't thought about recently?
Who's that?
Luke Musgrave. I don't even know where he's at. Is he okay? Is he on IR?
He's still in the IR.
But he still could come off, right?
Yeah, he still could come off.
But yeah, honestly, no one's really missed him that much. But yeah, big win. Obviously, we have a quick turnaround now to a Thursday night game.
Mm-hmm.
So, look, the Packers are in a good position. I think we just said it basically clinched the playoff spot with that win, right?
Yeah, we're at over 90% the last time we checked on NY Times.
Yeah, which can't get into it right now, but try to get into the incognito one. But yeah, I would assume that we're somewhere above 90. It would basically take a miracle for us, or a really bad miracle, not get in as a wild card team. But if the Packers are going to do anything this year, it's probably going to go through away games.
Yeah, exactly. They just got to take care of business, Mike. And to wrap up from the Packers and Irons game, I mean, overall, this team did well. They created turnovers when necessary. Like Van Ness got one. You can, Van Ness got one. The McCaffrey run, I believe that was Keyshawn Nixon who ran across the field to get that. And then I think there's another one. But overall, I mean, this defense does very well when you have turnovers. And this was like the first game in a while that they had turnovers. So every time this team gets turnovers on the defense, it does very well for this offense. Because obviously this was like the first time I've seen in a while that the Packers defense creates turnovers and the Packers score touchdowns off of that. Because majority of the time, it has been field goals. Every time the Packers get the turnover, they usually get field goals. Happened in Jacksonville. Happened in the Eagles game, week 1. If they can do that, if they can create a disruption and win the turnover battle, that is a big key for this Packers defense, because this Packers defense has looked better. I mean, despite the pass rush, this is definitely better than last year's defense, I would say. And obviously, just hope for Jair Alexander to get healthy. He's not going to play this week, so the secondary is going to be tough there when you have to cover Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill out there. So that's going to be a trouble there. But I also like to mention quickly, though, going to the offense, Mike, Packers are 4th in rushing yards. That's higher than the Detroit Lions. Higher than the Detroit Lions, Mike. 4th in rushing yards.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like I said, Josh Jacobs is doing great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's amazing to see from that. And the Packers whooped the 49ers. They had a can of whoop there for the Packers, and they got the job done. And now we move on to this week, where Jordan Love is trying to get his turkey leg because of the fiasco last year when Packers beat Detroit on Thanksgiving Day. Greg Olsen took Jordan Love's turkey leg, pretty much put his hands into it and everything, and Jordan Love never got a turkey leg. Never got one. And us Packer fans were upset about that. And someone called out Greg Olsen the other day on Twitter about that, and Greg Olsen said, I have no idea what you're talking about. So, Greg, this was your fault, just to let you know if you're watching, which is probably not, but it's your fault, just to let the viewers know. So, hopefully, Packers can get the turkey leg for Jordan Love this week. And they'll be sitting tight because right now, Mike, they're 8-3. And you got a nice Miami Dolphins football team coming in because although they're 5-6, they're on a 3-game winning streak right now. Their team has looked a bit better than recent weeks before. So it'll be interesting to see how this Packer games go, because this is an explosive offense. So I would expect the defense to I would expect Jeff Hafley to have the same defensive scheme as he had for the 49ers into the Dolphins, because the same offense. So that is something. That's what the Packers defense and Jeff Hafley's got to take care of there. Yeah,
I mean, obviously you have Tyreek Hill and Waddle. Waddle's been having the best year, but a lot of it's probably because Tua was out. But obviously, two fast guys. You got to be careful because I don't know if Jair is going to play or not. Obviously, he didn't play against the 49ers.
Yeah.
But we're just running out
Mhm.
Keyshawn Nixon and Stokes or Carrington Valentine, who's starting or who started on Sunday. But Stokes obviously hasn't looked great. So, that could be a concern. It could be a concern that they get a lot of yards through the air.
Mm-hmm.
Got to make sure that we're double covering probably Tyreek Hill with the safety over the top.
Yep.
Because one of these guys, Keyshawn Nixon's pretty fast, and also is Eric Stokes. But we really need Jair back for this game. I hope he's back.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think he'll play, Mike, but it'll be interesting to see how we go against this because you got those guys, but you also got to worry about Devon Achane. He was pretty good in the pass game. They don't utilize him in the run game as much. They just utilize him in the pass game, so he's another weapon you got to watch out for. Then you also got Jonnu Smith, who's been heating it up recently, especially if you have fantasy football. He's been heating up recently for the Dolphins, so that is something you got to watch out for on the offensive side. And then, of course, Tua, you don't know what Tua is going to be capable of. They could have that, like they had that game, like when they played Miami on Christmas Day a couple years ago, Tua just like disrupting him and everything. It'll be good. It'll be good for the Packers. So that's what you can hope for out here. But yeah, I mean, Packers, they just got to take care of business. This is like if worst case scenario happens for the Packers, this is the only game really that you can afford a loss in. Wouldn't be fantastic, but this is really the only loss because they're an AFC opponent, so it wouldn't affect the Packers really in the standings as much as compared to NFC opponents. So got to take care of business there. And then, you got to take care of business there for the Packers. And what I want to see, Mike, is them beat a pretty good team. Now, they beat the Niners, who were banged up, which was still impressive, but it's not like they weren't a Super Bowl contending team. They've beaten some opponents that have looked playoff contenders and have looked pretty good. But I want to see this team win. I want to see this team show that they can be in contention for the Super Bowl. I want to see the conversation of you could put them right up there with Detroit and Eagles category. Might not be better than the Eagles and the Lions, but put them in that category there. You can't have them in that conversation. Put them up there by Minnesota, even though I don't think Minnesota's that fantastic. Despite their 9-2 record, I think they're doomed for gloom very soon. So if the Packers can win this game, Mike, this gives you a lot of confidence heading to the next game, which is going to be next Thursday, not this upcoming Thursday, but the next Thursday, where they take on the Lions in Detroit. If you can get that going, folks, if the Packers can get that going, folks, it helps them out. If you win this game, it gives you a lot of confidence, I will say, though.
Yeah. No, I think what you're trying to hit on is the Packers are missing a statement win. Obviously, the 49ers could have been a statement win, but it was kind of nullified a little bit because of how banged up they were.
Yeah.
But I think that's the one thing when you look at the Packers schedule, it's kind of played out where we haven't had a lot of wins against teams with winning records. I mean, who did we beat? Let's just go down the list real quick. The Eagles obviously are good. We lost to them.
Yep.
So we lost to the second best team in the NFC, right? Week 1. Right? I know we've done this before, but I think it's important because this is kind of the way I view the season right now.
Yep.
Then we went and beat 2 AFC teams who've been pretty mediocre. The Titans are not good, and then the Colts have been okay, but not really that good. Then lost to the Vikings, really a blowout. They came back. The Rams have been better, but they beat them without
Puka and Cooper.
Yeah. So they kind of beat them when they were a little bit banged up, and the Rams still haven't played great. The best win of the season, I still think, is the Cardinals game. The Cardinals, I don't think, have been as good as they were in the beginning of the season, but when the Packers beat them, they were decent. So I think that's been our best win. Texans win was nice, although it came down to the wire, but the Texans kind of fallen off a little bit since then.
Yeah.
Still think that's probably one of the better teams we played. the Jaguars game, we just squeaked out a win there against a team that's not very good, and the Lions killed them. So, that could be a slight negative. Lions game, we don't need to go over that one. The Bears should have been a loss, so we just got lucky and won by an inch. And then obviously the 49ers game, nice win at home against a 49ers team that was in the Super Bowl last year, right? But, it's pretty banged up at the moment. So now looking forward, we got the Dolphins who, are on the up and up. Tua's back. They can't say injuries is a problem at the moment. So this is a true game. If you could win this game, this is pretty big. And then you'd sweep the AFC this year. We'd win every game against the AFC that we play.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be great. And then obviously the big game, which is next Thursday, Packers-Lions. That if we have any chance to win a division, they got to win that one. It's in Detroit, but obviously it has to be a statement win against likely the best team in the league right now. So the Packers, if for all the negativity I've been kind of giving of the fact that we're 8-3, but with an asterisk, we could kind of get rid of that asterisk with two big wins here against the Dolphins and Lions, and then you got the Seahawks, where the Seahawks are completely in the running for the NFC West.
Yeah.
If they're not leading right now, they might be leading. I'm not sure. I don't know what the NFC West standings are. But, the three big primetime games where this is like the Packers' time to shine. Right now we're, 8-3, but we could come out of here 8-6. Remember I said that we easily could win these 4 games. It would be in a really good spot back when we lost to the Vikings, and I was kind of right. And then, but here's the thing: where we're 8-3, but we could go the complete opposite way. Where if we don't win these games, we're 8-6, but we probably still make the playoffs. But it's a pretty mediocre 8-6 compared to if for some reason we win all these 3 games, right? I mean, I know this sounds trivial, but you have a huge statement on your hands because you beat 2 great NFC teams or 2 contending NFC teams.
Mm-hmm.
A contending AFC team. And not only are you definitely in the playoffs, but you have a chance and you feel confident going into the end of the season. Saints obviously haven't had the best season, but they've been coming on a little bit as of late. They've been playing better under Allen, right? We said that last week.
Yep.
So, that's the next game after that. And then you finish the season off with 2 divisional games, the Vikings and Bears, of course. It's to be determined if those games mean anything. At the moment, maybe it's for wild card positioning, but it's very unlikely that the Bears game means anything at the moment, or even the Vikings game if Packers kind of get stuck in a wild card spot.
It could mean a little for the Vikings game, just for the wild card spot positioning wise. And the Seahawks are in first place technically, Mike, in the NFC West because they beat the Cardinals this past Sunday. So they have the same record, but they have the tiebreaker currently. So technically, the Seahawks are in first place there. But the Vikings, I think it will be that one is going to be a tough game. I think that one's going to determine wild card positioning for the Packers. Honestly, I don't think.
Positioning wise, I agree.
I think it's going to be 5 and 6 of those spots, the wild card spots, the 5 and the 6 spot. Division wise, I don't think it's going to matter unless the Packers defeat the Lions. If the Lions defeat if the Packers defeat the Lions, then I think that Vikings game will be definitely important. But I think if they don't beat the Lions, then the Vikings game is not going to mean as much as it should already be. That's how I see it because, I mean, here's the thing, Mike. We could get back in this division easily. We easily could. If we take care of business. Now, I know our odds are not great against Detroit, excuse me. I mean, we currently have a 37.1% chance of winning. Not great. But when you look at the Lions schedule, they also have tough opponents too, Mike. Like, obviously you got the Bears, but that's not going to be as tough as what it should have been. And the Bears should have won the game against Minnesota last week when they tied it up and headed overtime. After the Packers game, Mike, you got the Buffalo Bills. That's definitely going to be a tough game. Then you got the Bears back again. Again, I just don't think the Bears are going to beat the Lions unless it's Thanksgiving, Bears could do it because the Lions always suck on Thanksgiving. So that could be it there. Then the 49ers, I mean, it would have been a very tough game to begin with this season, but all the injuries are just hurting them. So if the 49ers can get healthy a bit, I mean, I know they're like on the brink of losing. They're on the brink of ice if not making the playoffs. But yeah, if you keep the 49ers in a contention a little bit, Mike, the 49ers could get some hunger and try to go after, because it's the NFC West is wide open, in my opinion. So if the 49ers aren't eliminated by the time the Lions play them, that would be good for the Packers, because then the Niners could try and actually take it, try to go out and win that ball game. So I think the Packers and Bills game back to back, that is going to be crucial. So if the Packers beat the Lions, that Bills game is the most toughest opponent, in my opinion, out of that. And the Vikings game at the end there, because that could be tough, but I doubt it, depending on where we are on the seeding wise. And Detroit has clinched the division by that point, because technically, Mike, they could clinch a playoff spot this week, theoretically. But I doubt that's going to happen. But again, I think we're not out of it yet for the division. Quite yet. I don't think it's going to happen for the Packers to win it. But if Packers can beat the Lions and the Lions lose one game, then I think it's a doable shot for the Packers. I think it's doable for that to happen. I really think it is.
How you would clinch. Why is this last year's? This isn't this year's.
It's okay. So there's 6 cases, Mike, where they could win, or they could clinch a playoff spot for the 7th seed at least. They would first case is they have to beat the Bears. Cardinals would have to lose or tie to the Vikings. And Bucks would have to lose or tie to the Panthers. 49ers would have to lose to the Bills. And Seahawks would have to lose to the Jets. That's one scenario. Second scenario is the Lions beat the Bears. The Cardinals lose to the Vikings. The Bucks lose to the Panthers. 49ers lose to the Bills. And the Seahawks tie to the Jets. Doubt that's going to happen with the Bucks. Case number 3, Lions again beat the Bears. Cardinals lose to the Vikings. 49ers lose to the Bills. Commanders lose to the Titans. Falcons lose to the Chargers. And Seahawks lose to the Jets. Case number 4, Lions beat the Bears. And this is for 5 and 6 as well, so I'll say that. Cardinals lose to the Vikings. Same thing for the rest of them. 49ers lose to the Bills. Same thing for the rest of them. Commanders lose to the Titans. Same thing for the rest of them. Falcons lose to the Chargers. And the Seahawks tie the Jets for that instance. And that's the same scenario pretty much with loss or ties within those same matchups there. So I don't think it's going to happen this week that they clinch a spot for the playoffs, but it's somehow doable. I don't think it's going to happen, though.
Yeah. I don't think it happens this week, but I think the main things happen on Thanksgiving, so it'll be exciting Thanksgiving as Packers fans. Obviously, our game and then the Lions game. Those are the 2 most important games. Of course, the Vikings game means something as well, but I'm not too concerned about the 5 or 6 seed. I think it's either a wild card or win division. And I think if the Packers could somehow get ahead of the Lions, I think we're then also ahead of the Vikings. So I'm not too like you said. I kind of think that the Vikings do fall off a little bit. Even though they just got Daniel Jones, I don't know if he actually ends up playing, or if they keep Sam Darnold going. Yeah. Probably keep Sam Darnold going. But I'm just saying, I do think the Vikings do fall off, and I think it's either wild card or first place, if it's 5th or 6th, whatever.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the Vikings, they have a tough schedule too, Mike. They got the Cardinals this week, which I do think the Cardinals can beat the Vikings. Then you got the Falcons the next week, which the Falcons are a 50-50 shot there. You got the Bears, which I think the Bears could beat the Vikings. I think because the Bears have always usually split the Vikings, so I definitely think the Bears could do something fair for the Packer fans. Then they go to Seattle and play the Seahawks. Then they play the Packers at home. Then they're at Detroit. So I definitely see the Vikings fall off a couple bit in these up for the rest of their schedule. I definitely see them lose a couple games here, but I mean, the Packers, they got to do a job. You got to go earn it. It's not going to be given to you if for the Packers to get the division and get the high wild card seed. It's not going to give it to you. And I personally don't want, because most likely the Packers are going to make it to the playoffs, knock on wood, hopefully. But worst case scenario, if they make the playoffs, Mike, I don't want them to have the 7th seed like last year. I don't want them to have that because most likely the case of that happening, you go to Philadelphia and play the Eagles, or you play Detroit Lions first round. Would not be a great match. Wouldn't be good for the Packers, in my opinion. I mean, obviously they came close, and the Lions game should have been a lot closer. But it wouldn't be great to have that as your first round matchup compared to like having NFC South or the NFC West as like your first round matchup is what I would say.
Right. I agree.
So, yeah, I mean, Packers, they just got to take care of business. They really do. Again, nothing's we give it to you, but if you can capitalize on your schedule here and you can win these upcoming games, and the Packers can make it, then you can make an argument case the Packers should be in the top NFC to win the NFC in general, to win the NFC like with the Eagles and the Eagles and the Lions. And the Eagles, they do have a tough schedule, right? Because they play Baltimore this week as well. So their schedule is also a bit tough too. So, I mean, obviously you kind of want the Eagles to win the division because they hold a tiebreaker over us. But you would hope, but like if we're looking at the Eagles schedule here real quick, Mike, they're at Baltimore, and they got the Panthers, they're gonna win that easily. They play Pittsburgh at home. That's gonna be tough. Then they're at the Commanders. Then they got the Cowboys, they're gonna win that. Then they got the Giants. So I see 3 tough games there. So I mean, you gotta hope they lose at least 2 for the Packers if they want to go win out. I don't think the Packers will win out this for the rest of the season. But you better, if you're a Packers fan, you really want the Eagles to like drop and like help it, like give you kind of an insurance policy wise. Then you want the Eagles to lose to the Ravens, Steelers, and Commanders at most because the Commanders, they have an easy schedule. So, and they're 7-5. So the Packers do have a margin lead over that. The easier way is the Eagles to win the division, but again, I don't want the Packers to get the 7th seed spot. So if you make the Eagles a wild card team, that makes it a lot easier, I would say, because whoever wins the NFC North, Mike, and we already talked about this, is going to get the number 1 seed, in my opinion, no matter what. And that's most likely going to be the Lions, but I don't think the Eagles are going to get it. I think it's going to be Detroit, maybe the Packers and Vikings if they really win out and everything. But I just think the Lions are going to get the number 1 seed, and then it's going to be the Eagles right after that, and then et cetera. You go back and forth of the 3 and 4 of the NFC South and the NFC West, and then 5 and 6, I think, are the Vikings, the Packers, and the 7 seeds up for grabs. So that's how I see it there.
I agree.
So, yeah, I mean, Packers got to take care of business. I mean, if we're look at the injury report, we already know Romeo Doubs is going to be out because he had that concussion right at the end. So that wasn't great.
I called in the stands. I figured that was a concussion.
Yeah.
It didn't look like he really got hurt at all. And he was having trouble getting up, so it looked like that was a concussion. So hopefully he gets healthy soon.
Yeah, so hopefully he gets healthy soon. I think he'll be back for the Detroit game, hopefully. They already ruled Jair Alexander out for tomorrow's game, so if that doesn't help you much out there, Mike. They also got Cooper out as well. The only real questionable person on the Packers injury report is Isaiah McDuffie because the Packers are thin at linebacker currently right now, so that's not great because obviously got Cooper out. Then the Vikings steal Jamie and Davis off the practice squad from the Packers, so that didn't help the Packers out for that. And then look at the Dolphins real quick for their side. I don't think Bradley Chubb's going to play. Kendall Fuller is out, so that's good. Teron Armstead is questionable, and that's one of their big pieces on the offensive line. So that will be interesting to see if the Packers can take care of business there.
Yep.
And then, yeah, I mean, you just got to take care of business, guys. You got to take care of business if you want the Packers to win and go strong out here. And then these next couple games too, Mike, are on Prime, as like we mentioned with like the 49ers game was on America's Game of the Week. The Dolphins is on NBC. The Seahawks is on Sunday Night Football. The Lions is on Thursday Night Football. The Saints is on Monday Night Football. So these next 4 games, you will be getting the Packers nationally televised in your area, guys. So that will be nice to see instead of you have to look up on a random site to watch the Packers. So it's good for that. But yeah, for me, Mike, if I had really considered for like this Packers team to like, if they really want to win the Super Bowl and like be in that Super Bowl conversation, these next 3 games are going to be really important. We already mentioned about the 49ers game was important despite the banged up. But these next 3 games are going to be pretty important, I would say. The Dolphins, even though it doesn't like really affect you that much in the NFC, I would say it affects you a little bit. The Lions, that's a huge statement win if you get the dub out of there. Then Seattle. Seattle's climbed back up to try and get a spot. So these next 3 games, Mike, to me are going to be pretty important to determine whether this Packers team is capable of making it to Super Bowl and beating teams in the playoffs or not.
I agree. Like I said, I think this is a really important part for the Packers to kind of make their mark and show us where they're going to go this season. Everything's in front of them. We're 10 games in, 7 games to go. Like I said, we're 7-3, right?
60 right now, currently.
Yeah, we're 7-3.
Oh, 8-3.
8-3, my bad. So we're 8-3, so we're 11 games in. So, yeah, if you can somehow win these 3 games, you go 11-3, beat the Lions, beat the Seahawks, beat the Dolphins. That would be ideal situation. But if you go, like I said, 0-3, and you're coming off 3 important losses, you're 8-6. So these are important games. I know we're in a decent spot, but I go 1-0 every week. I know it's cliche.
Yeah.
But these are 3 important games, and I'm excited to see what happens. They're 3 primetime games. So the Packers have no excuse.
Exactly. They have no excuse, and you got to take care of business, is what I could say. You got to take care of business, and as no as cliche it is, but 1-0, Mike, that's the mindset you got to go into every week because Dolphins game, the Lions, Seahawks, you can't be thinking about the Vikings, Bears, Saints games down the line or Seattle like tomorrow. You can't be thinking about that. That's us as fans. We could think about that because we're not on the field. Players, they got to just worry about their week. They just got to worry about the Dolphins game. Focus on that game. You just focus on that game only. Then after that, you go focus on the Lions game because that game will, obviously, just to get a little ahead of ourselves, I think that Lions game is really going to turn to me. Even if you lose that game, but you make it close, I think the Packers could have a decent shot at beating teams in the playoffs because the hierarchy right now is the Lions. They're the best team in the NFL. If you can make it very close or you can beat them, I think the Packers could have a good shot against winning the NFC and going to the Super Bowl. The Lions is ruining the test level to me. If you get blown out by the Lions, well, then the Super Bowls are goodbye. It's not going to happen to me. So, yeah, that's what I would say. We'll get into our keys to the game and we'll give our score predictions real quick. But to give, as I mentioned before, who we are rooting, guy, because it's that playoff machine time, guys, because the wild card and the playoffs are coming up very soon. Mike doesn't have NY times up currently.
But you have to buy it.
Great.
Everything's behind a paywall now. I have to pay for Twitter. I have to pay for this. That's what it is.
Yeah, it is.
New world we live in.
Exactly. But yeah, so to give you the rooting guide here for you guys to speak for Packer fans, obviously you want the Cardinals over the Vikings. You want the Bears over the Lions. I don't think it's gonna happen, but Lions suck on Thanksgiving football, so you never know. Just look at the Family Guy meme about that. Bills over the 49ers. You would want that, but if the Niners beat the Bills, gives them a confidence gives them confidence down the road. So you would as a Packer fan, I would probably want the 49ers out of the playoffs because they're being our demons the past couple of years. If you're a Packers fan, you really want them out, take the Bills side. If you want the 49ers to win, that gives you maybe hope that the Packers could win the division because you need the Lions to at least lose one game besides the Packers if the Packers are able to beat the Lions. Take the Niners side to give them confidence down the road that they can go after the Lions and win that game. So there's that. Next game is the Titans over the Commanders. I think that could honestly happen, Mike, now because the game was crazy when they put on the Jumbotron of the Commanders-Cowboys game. The Cowboys won in the most weird fashion I've seen since they've implemented onside kick rule. It was like scoreless at halftime, and then it's like high 20s heading into like last second of the game, and the Commanders had it too, Mike, because they threw a touchdown the last second of the game, and they missed the extra point, and they were down by 1 point before it could have gone overtime. So they tried the onside kick, and the Cowboys special teams takes it to the house and wins the game for the Cowboys. So I think the Commanders could slip. They could slip. I had them as a sleeper team this year, so it's doable for that. I think the Titans, they had a pretty good game last week. Tony Pollard stepped up a bit, so that's something good there. Next game, Ravens-Eagles. If you want the Eagles to win the division, if you want to make it simple, you want the Eagles to win the division. But if you want to make a little insurance to be a little more like helpful out there, if the Commanders are somehow going to win a lot more and they somehow beat the Eagles and the Eagles still win, but they lose a couple and they take the 5 seed for the wild card, you want the Eagles to lose. So that case scenario, you would want the Ravens over the Eagles. And then for our last game, Cardinals-Seahawks. Packers hold the tiebreaker over Cardinals. They play Seahawks in a couple weeks. So you either want the Seahawks to win the division. Oh, excuse me. That happened last week for the game, which the Seahawks won, of course. Sorry. That is going to be determination for me if like you got to figure out who you want for that down the line of who you want to win. But looking back at, okay, Seattle plays the Jets. So you want the Jets to beat the Seahawks. And Cardinals, you want them to beat the Vikings. Just to plain simple because hold the tiebreaker over the Cardinals. But you want Minnesota to lose if you want to have a shot at the wild card, good seed at the wild card spot in the shot at the division. You want that. Jets, so Aaron Rodgers maybe does something good for the Packers to beat Seattle. Maybe, but I doubt it, but never know. You never know. But that is your rooting guide for this week, folks. And to give you the tickets, if you really want to go to a football game for Sunday, because I'm not going to include Thanksgiving games because it's already too late if anyone wants to buy it. But if you want to look at the most expensive ticket, though, most expensive ticket, the cheapest price is the Eagles-Ravens game at $305. Cheapest ticket is the Rams-Saints game at $14. So,
Really?
Yeah. And it's in New Orleans too, Mike.
Wow. People jump up on the Saints.
Yeah, you can go to that or the Texans Jaguars game at $17.
As well, you're in the area.
Yeah. So that is the reading guide there, folks, for the Packer fans.
All right. What are you doing for Thanksgiving?
Staying with my family, having my grandparents come over and watching some Packer football, of course, and watching football all day pretty much.
Good. It's good.
How about you?
Yeah, I will be doing the same. So it's a late night game. So it's a good thing you don't have to watch during the, what do you call it, during eating.
Oh, yeah.
That's good. But obviously the Lions game will be some important stuff to watch in the background, but I really think they was expecting to lose, so I'm not going to be watching it too closely. But if somehow the Bears pull it out, should have brought my Bears rally towel I got from the game. But let's go Bears.
Yeah, exactly. Go Bears for once, as Packer fans.
But yeah. All right, so what's your prediction on the game on Thursday?
Prediction, I think it's going to be a low-score game because of the cold, because Dolphins don't do well in the cold. They are I believe 0-6 or 0-7 with Tua in cold games, according to I saw a stat on that. I will say Packers 24-17, I will say Packers.
I'm going to say, I agree with you. I think that Josh Jacobs has another big week. I'm a little bit concerned about the receiving game, like I said, with Waddle and Hill against our kind of banged up quarterback core.
Yeah.
Also, we really have like no inside linebackers going, apparently. I do think the Packers win. I think it's probably, I'm going to say 21-17 Packers.
Okay.
But yeah. Oh, one thing I wanted to say real quick before we go. That screen pass on the lateral, pretty cool play that they ran the 49ers.
Oh, yeah.
That was a really cool play. Hey, it worked out perfectly. Like they had like all their offensive linemen blocking for I don't know who got the ball last, but it worked out pretty cool. It was a cool play.
Well, I thought that was going to be a touchdown. As soon as I saw it throw to him, and I'm looking at how many Packer players were, and there was like 2 of them, I was like, well, that's going to be easy touchdown.
Yeah, there's like how did they even stop him again? I forget.
They had like 2 more Packers just came off. They lose speeding up, and they were able to like collide the offensive lineman and then tripped Debo in the process.
Really cool play. Yeah. Give it to Shanahan. That was a cool play.
Wouldn't mind the Packers stealing that play.
Yeah. I bet you some other teams did. There's a lot had to go right in order for that to happen, you know? Like I feel like if you have any idea that's even in the cards, it's going to take so long for it to kind of materialize that you'll know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's like a one-time only thing, but cool play. Kind of waste time to use it there against the Packers though and get blown out like that.
Oh, exactly. But Mike, what are your what's your keys for the Packers to win this game?
Run the ball, beat Josh Jacobs, stop Waddle and Hill, keep Tua contained. There you go.
Sweet.
You do all those things and you're good.
Yeah. I mean, run the ball. That's the most important thing. I think if you utilize Josh Jacobs a lot more, it helps the Packers out to win. If you can limit the explosive plays, I would say, between the trio of A-Chang, Hill, and Waddle, you can do that. That would be good. And then create turnovers on Tua because Tua is known to have turnovers. So if you do all these 3 things, then you can do it.
That's right. Win the turnover battle. Yeah. Go 1-0.
Exactly. But yeah, that's the Packers there. They blow up the Niners, guys, and hopefully you get a turkey leg for Jordan Love tomorrow night.
Walk us through that play. What happened and how'd you grab it?
Oh, man, that's easy. So I'm just lining up. I seen number 10 motion over. Hey, Jones. Here.
The Jair interview, remember that?
Yep.
Play that. He's the most funny man. We need him on the camera tomorrow, if anything. Put him on the camera, guys.
Yep. So, Jair is hopefully back soon, but I don't think this game, right? I think it's
he's ruled out. But if you put him on the
what's the injury report?
It's on the Packers. If you look on ESPN, you look in the Gamecaster, he has the injury report out because both teams are not really doing practice. Really, they're just doing walkthroughs of anything. But they ruled out with Jair. He got the injury when he was in Jacksonville, I believe it was, right. And then he re-aggravated it just a couple of weeks ago. So that's what happened. I think it was against not Chicago. I think it was Detroit. He re-aggravated it, and then he was limited in the Chicago game. Then he didn't play that much, or it was either in the Chicago game, and then he was not great then. So he's going to be out like probably a couple weeks, which is not great for his Packers. Yeah, you just really got to hope that he's all right, and we need him badly because it's looking like, to me, Mike, that we have the secondary from the run the table year at this point. They don't really have anybody good out there except the safety group.
Yep. I agree. I think that's one of the concerns.
Yeah, which is going to be a big thing next year for free agency in the draft. So, but yeah.
All right. What's your favorite Thanksgiving food, Jeremy?
I'm not really a big Thanksgiving food guy, so
What?
I'll just I will go turkey.
What? That's your favorite turkey?
I'm really not a turkey or a Thanksgiving food guy. I'm really not, Mike. Like
Oh,
I
man. Somebody, come on, can somebody give me a hard time in the comments?
Thanksgiving annoys me a bit, Mike, because it's my birthday week. And
Right. Happy birthday, Jeremy.
thank you. And every time it's my birthday, my mom's always very busy with like getting Thanksgiving all like ready and everything of dinner prep. All I get, and I just like Thanksgiving just annoys me, especially if it's on my birthday. I refuse to celebrate my birthday if it's on Thanksgiving because I'm like, that is not my food for my birthday dinner. That can be for Thanksgiving. I'll celebrate my birthday the next day or day before. I don't care. I will purposely have my birthday the next day or before Thanksgiving. I'm not a fan of Thanksgiving food, really. There are some I like, though, Mike. I like stuffing. I like potatoes there. There are some foods I like. Macaroni and cheese is controversial, I've heard, if that's a Thanksgiving food. I've heard it's part of Christmas dinner, but yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I'd say mine is stuffing, mashed potato. I like all the sides. The sides are good. Thanksgiving's my favorite holiday. My mom makes this good sweet potato casserole too. It's really good. So, Thanksgiving is exciting. Although I need to get to the gym. I gotta stop eating so much.
Hot take for me, Mike. Christmas dinner is better than Thanksgiving food.
Depends on what you like to eat. What do you have for Christmas?
We get my mom makes a special macaroni and cheese from the crock pots, and it's like so sweet and rich that could last you probably like you wouldn't want to eat anything else after like you have like 2 macaroni and cheeses of like quantity. Have that, you're gonna be stuffed for the rest of the day. There's French toast bread we make to like you put it together and it's like maple syrup and you kind of like swirl all around. It's so good. It's pretty much French toast, but just like different version of it. Ham, I like it for Christmas dinner. Yeah, those are the 3 things I really like for Christmas dinner in my family when we make it.
Nice.
Oh, and Hawaiian rolls too.
Got it.
I mean, that's classic too for Thanksgiving as well.
That's right. All right. One other question. We'll end it there.
All right.
All right. What do you? No, one question for me. If you have a question, you can do it. All right. What are you thankful for in the Packers blogosphere area?
I'm thankful that Jordan Love's not hurt. That was one good thing. I'm thankful that we got Josh Jacobs and Xavier McKinney. I really wanted Xavier McKinney so badly, and he's by Charles Woodson. He acts like Charles Woodson. He plays like Charles Woodson. I love him. And Josh Jacobs too. So really, I'm thankful for the Packers free agency, Mike.
That's what you're thankful about the Packers. I'm asking about the Packers blogosphere.
Oh, the blogosphere. Okay. I'm thankful that we got to have John come on the show. Mostly the time, I'm thankful that we still get to do this, Mike. Honestly, like we got nobody on now for like the YouTube, but the Twitter, but we're still able to do this. So I'm thankful of the PackReacts still continuing. I'm thankful for that.
Yeah. Well, I'm thankful for the viewers. I'm thankful for the followers. Thankful for you, Jeremy, for doing this all the time. I'm thankful for our guests.
Yep. Which we will have on
more.
More.
I think this is great. We're going to definitely have more guests. Apologies to the viewers if we're slacking a little bit. That's my fault, not Jeremy's fault. Jeremy's always ready to go. I'm the one that's been slacking as of late. But But this was a fun weekend for me, Jeremy. It was kind of a realization of some, situations that, like, I met a lot of people in person that we've had on the show or we've kind of known from Twitter and stuff. And it was awesome. It was pretty cool. It was like some kind of a surreal experience. So hopefully we can continue growing these relationships and grow our, kind of people we know around the Packers. And if anybody's interested in trying to, get on the show or join and just express your fandom, I think it's great. I mean, I'll put it this way, and I'll end it. That meetup for the Cheesehead TV was awesome. First of all, completely free. Anyone could have shown up. And obviously you had to pay for drinks and stuff, but it was free. Anybody could show up. There was no what do you call it? Guest list or anything. So if you're a Packers fan, you know about it, you just come. And it was really cool, and I really recommend if you're watching and they're in the area for next year's meetup, go, because it's really a good opportunity to meet a lot of people and talk about kind of your fandom of the Packers. So hopefully Jeremy's there next year.
Yeah.
And you just have to come to Green Bay a few days earlier. I know you like to stay in Milwaukee, but
yeah,
you got to come to Green Bay the night before.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I wasn't there, Mike, but it was a good experience, I would say, for you and for the channel to get the networking event, as I would always say in my major, to meet the people. It's not about what you know, it's about who you know. So that's one of the most important things. Of course, you got to see some of the guys. You got to see Corey, Nags. You got to see Wes. You got to see some of our people that watch our show too. Yeah, I mean, one of the things, and I was watching it on like Transplants of Cheesehead TV when I saw Mike on there too. They showed his face up there talking with Corey. Was Nags said it's not we're thankful that we get to do this, but we're thankful that we get to connect the Packer fans together. We get to connect people from all the world, and we get to meet up and create Packer fan friendships. And this is something I would agree, Mike, that we try to incorporate on our shows. Like, we're trying to get Packer fans from all ever and try to get them on to express their passion, their fan, because this podcast isn't about making the money. We know that. It's not about. It's about having fun, and it's about having Packer fans share their passion for their team. And that's one of the things we have stuck by since day one when we started this podcast. It's one of the things that me and Mike wanted to do. And yeah, that is one of the things we've cherished. And we love having Packer fans come on. We love having them in the chats. Even if you're not a Packers fan, we love having those random NFL fans just chat in the comments. But it's very fun. We get to have the guests on, whether it's like the popular people. But I more enjoy just the Packer fans in general, just to come on and express their passion is something I always enjoy. So that's one real thing I'm thankful for, Mike, to give it off to you.
Yeah, no, I think that's hit the nail on the head there. And I was talking to this when I was kind of at the meetup. Look, the internet's great, right? It allows you to learn so much. It allows you to experience so much. Our parents, our grandparents, you kind of knew what was in your town, right?
Yeah.
And that's because you were only limited to what's in front of you. If I'm in some town in the middle of nowhere, I'll probably be with the people in my town, friends, family.
Mm-hmm.
Good and bad, right? Good in terms of if you all have the same interests and you don't want to overthink things and you don't want to, do anything else, then yeah, everything's right in front of you. Everything, the world is your town, or world's where your area. But you'll never know more than that. So if I want to know about the Packers fandom, well, I don't live in Wisconsin, so I have no way to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Now with the internet, you can learn about literally whatever you want around the world and different in space and stuff, right? Like, there's all the information that's available to humanity is on the internet. Although I will say though, Jeremy, actually, so I went to the University of Wisconsin. That was my first part of the trip. I stopped in the library. And they got some books in there. I was just looking for the oldest book because, that library that was created in 1850. Sorry, going a little bit of a tangent. But I was looking at some books from the 1890s. And it was pretty surreal, opening this book. And they had a stamp, from when the librarian put it back in there in 1900. Wow. And I'm opening it. I'm like, wow, this book is literally 125 years old. And like the page, I could read everything, It was just kind of crazy. And I'm reading like there's like news articles and stuff in there, and they're talking about like Chicago as a city and how they don't have sanitation and stuff. I mean, they're talking about problems from 1900. So that's kind of crazy. I don't know how much of that you can find online. There's a problem online, right? It's also something new that it had to be indexed. So it's actually pretty interesting. You have to almost go to the libraries to get some information from real back. You can't get that online. But what you can get online, right, is you can meet a whole bunch of people. No matter if we're in the same town or the same state or the same country or the same planet, and maybe one day, we can meet whoever we want. And, we have different ways to interact and different ways to share our passion for certain topics that maybe the people around you physically don't have the same passions for. But the one thing I was saying during the meetup was that's kind of a slippery slope too, because at the end of the day, the internet, right? Right now you're looking into a camera and a screen, and I'm looking into a camera and a screen. There's no one physically here. So that's what's great about physical meetups and in-person events, is it kind of is a meeting of the minds or meeting the worlds between the online, where I can meet a bunch of people that have the same interests as me. Right. And the reality of you need to be face to face in person in order to have any real human, contact. So I really hope, I guess what I'm trying to get at is I hope we continue to prioritize podcasts like this, where we have guests on, people get to speak in a casual setting, without, commercials, without economics, right? There's no economics. Like you said, we're not making any money. You go on television, it's all economics.
Yeah.
There's no economics with podcasts. It's people have a passion. It's like, well, I could do this, or I can sit around and look at the wall, So this is, I really think, a great form of media. And the only thing it's missing is it's not in person. And I think with these meetups that hopefully keep happening more and more often, we have the Tom Grassi meetups, we have the She Said TV meetups. Hopefully, maybe they will have a PackReacts meetup. I mean, right now, I think we'll be sitting there ourselves. PackReacts meetup. But, these are the things that are really going to take the power of the internet and turn it into the power of society. Like, this really could change the world.
Yeah.
If we take what we have the ability of on the internet and bring it in person. And, not to get political again, but this election, I think, was determined by podcasts, by YouTube and all that stuff. It's really a powerful thing.
Okay.
And I really hope that people see how valuable stuff like this is and embrace it. Again, not our podcast, but other podcasts. Maybe one day our podcast. Because this is really a democratization of just passions. There's no economics. Like you said, we're not doing this for money. We haven't made a dime. If anything, it's costing us money now.
Yeah.
With me having to pay for Twitter and maybe New York Times, all this stuff, it's actually a cost center. But it's not, because it's an investment in, one, what you're passionate about, but two, your ability to just have your voice heard and meet different people in the area. And that's priceless. You can't put a price on that. So ultimately, that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful for the ability to have the ability to talk about what you're passionate about and meet people that share the passions and grow friendships and have, even if it's only once a year, the ability to have a platform to make people's lives more interesting when it comes to what they care about, which, in this situation is the Packers.
Yeah. I'll be a little biased. I appreciate more Packer fans that are outside Wisconsin. Mostly like how Mike's from New York. I'm from outside Philadelphia. I like those Packer fans, especially because they feel the same way it is from not like your team's not your hometown. You're from far from where your team plays, and you're from like Florida, Carolinas, Connecticut, California, even. Those I appreciate because they could deal with the fans from like mine. I have to deal with the Eagle fans. You have to deal with the Giants and Jet fans, even though both of them suck. You have to deal in California. You have to deal with all those teams, the 49ers, the Rams, Chargers, etc. Those are some of the things I appreciate of those fans. Of like, you weren't just like homegrown. Like, there's deep roots, Mike, from the Packers because they started as a small town, small community. It has expanded over the world. I mean, we're not like the number one brand in the NFL like the Cowboys are, but there's Packer fans everywhere you go. There's Packer bars, there's Packer shops, there's Packer stores, there's Packers in different areas, different continents. That is something I always appreciate about Packer fans. They're everywhere you go. If it's on the highway, and you'll see a random Packers fan because that's who we are. We're Packer fans that are just from everywhere and that come from everywhere to go see the Holy Grail of Lambeau Field and watch our team play.
Yeah, and I think you're 100% right there. And look, I don't think we're fooling anybody for here. We're not football experts. We're not going to become a coach anytime soon.
No.
We're not grading every play like Andy Herman. We're not doing
Yeah.
this. But I think what value I think we do add is we kind of understand, you and I, what it's like to be a fan of the team not in Green Bay. And also, maybe get a little bit of passion from the ability, like, I'm sure you grew up with a lot of Eagles fans, right? And they were giving you a hard time for being a Packers fan.
Yeah.
Giants and stuff, right? So what it does is it gives you appreciation for the team even more because you're kind of like alone. You're like, it's you against everybody else that you go to school with that's a fan of another team.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of our niche and what kind of Cheesehead TV found with Packer Transplant. And that's like the most I watch on Cheesehead TV is the Transplants episode. One, because I like Corey a lot, but two, because it kind of speaks to me with having the transplant thing. But I think the Packers are one of these teams where, obviously like you have the Cowboys, America's team that's probably the biggest fan base, and you got the Patriots too. But the Packers I think are such a unique fan base because I would say that you agree the Packers probably have the best community online.
Oh yeah,
sports team,
easily.
Right?
Yeah,
I mean, I know we're biased. But it's hard for me to like. We're definitely biased. Don't get me wrong. But it's hard for me to think when I'm not being biased, like what other team would have such a good
internet blogosphere.
Yeah. And I don't know, maybe I'm just not part of it. I'm not paying attention, and that's fair. But I just feel like the community around the Packers are so just advanced in terms of kind of how organized we are. And I just think it's really a benefit of being a Packers fan is this community. And a lot of it is people from outside of Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of the reason why there is because, one, I think we benefit from the fact that we're not in a big city, right? But we have like the third most fans in the NFL. I think people connect with the fact that, it's fan owned. Wisconsin is such a great area. Everyone's very nice. It's blue collar.
Mm-hmm.
But we still have the third most fans. So where are these fans coming from? They're coming from big cities like New York, Philadelphia, Maryland, or Arizona, California, right? So they're coming from big population areas. And we're kind of like all meeting up in Green Bay. And it's like a melding, like it's like almost like a mecca, it's just like such a special experience to go to Green Bay compared to if you're a Giants or Jets fan, right? Oh, I get to go to New Jersey after this spaceship air conditioning thing. Like that's not that exciting. What the Giants and Jets stadium is like, I'm going there to tailgate, and I know there's tailgating in Green Bay, but it's not like a trip. It's not a destination. It's like I'm going to go there. I'm a true season ticket holder. I'm going to go every week. I work in New York, and I just wanted an escape, so I'm going to go tailgate the Jets or Giants game. Who cares if they are good? I'm really just going in to get drunk and eat with my friends and family. But I feel like where Green Bay is it's like a vacation destination.
Yeah.
It's just such a unique situation, and there's so many fans from coming around the world. And I think, the one thing they're missing is a platform to get their voice out because they're not there all the time, They're not around Packers fans all the time. That's what the internet does. It brings these people together to where on a consistent basis, we can share our passion for the team. And that's ultimately what I'm thankful for. I know this has gone long, but I think that this community is so great, and I hope that to be part of the reason why this community expands over time, because this is a special team, but it's not special because of the players. It's not special because of football. I love football. I love the players, but the team's going to come and go. What's going to stay, and I don't care about the administration either. Whatever. It's a business, right?
Yeah.
What is valuable to me, and what's kind of always been valuable to me, is what's around it, like the aura around it, how we became friends talking about the Packers. And that's what Corey and
Max
were talking about last night, is that it's like a built-in icebreaker. Like I have a passion for this, you have a passion for this. Now we have something in common. What else do we have in common, right? And that's so powerful. And I really think that there's so much more to come here. And again, it's just a platform, the football part. I'm a huge football fan. I'm a huge Packers fan. I love the football part. Don't get me wrong. But what it's becoming is so much more than football. It's becoming a community. It's becoming, people that can find common ground and just it's just really exciting. And I really hope that this is what's built over time, because it's so much more valuable than football and the business behind it. The Packers, you go up to 1265 Lombardi and try to get in, and they'll arrest you, right? You run onto the field, they'll arrest you. It's a business, right? If somebody comes onto the chat right now and says, I want to join you next week, more than likely we'll have them on, right? Granted, we're a little bit careful after what happened with that guy that gave us the runaround. But what I'm saying is this is not a business. We're just doing it because we're passionate about it. So all the baseline is to find somebody else who's passionate about it.
Exactly.
It's not how much money can you pay me? What can we gain from it? And I really hope that that continues, and I'm excited. So that's what I'm thankful for. Sorry for going long there.
No, you said it perfectly, because we're in Thanksgiving, Mike. I mean, I agree. Like, this is a community fan base. I mean, honestly, we would like sponsors. Dot is like too many sponsors, but we would like maybe one sponsor here and there in the future.
We'll see. Maybe
one day we would like at least one sponsor, but we don't want to be like too many sponsors of like giving you so much of like not to watch us. We want to incorporate like with the sponsors. I mean, if we somehow get sponsor, we want it to be like, we don't want to like give you like just random like sponsor just to do it. We want to make sure it's like for the fans, like how you guys can benefit from it. Of like, if it's something related to the Packers, we want to benefit that. Like, that's something that we want to incorporate, is the fans and the passion, because that is one of the big things that I always have wanted to be, because that's why I want to work in the sports industry, is the passion. And the fans are the reason why this sports industry works. It's the passion of the fans. This billion-dollar industry, Mike, does not happen without the fans. If you didn't have fans, this industry wouldn't exist. You don't see the big-time contracts. You don't see the moves, the trades, everything like this happen there and there. Like, economically, it helps every city, every state out when you have these sports teams. But I always give you uniqueness to the small town teams. The Packers are definitely one for the football. You go look at Milwaukee Brewers. They're unique, and they're a small town team of sports-wise, if you consider for baseball. Athletics for baseball, well, it's not great of what their situation is, but you always got to appreciate the small town teams are trying to hang in there with the big market teams like in New York, like the Yankees, the Mets, the Phillies. You try to hang in there. And that is something I do appreciate about. But yeah, that again, Packer fans always appreciate them. I mean, we're going to be biased here, but like, they're the best fans in the NFL. No question about it. And uniqueness, again, is from where the Packer fans come. Like, obviously, small market town, like Mike mentioned, and how we get fans from everywhere. Having that voice will set them apart. It sets this franchise apart, of this fan base apart, is what I would say. When you have that fan base come together, you can't stop it. You just can't. And that's one of the things I love about this team, is it's a community-owned team. Everyone comes together from the internet, in-person meetups. It's awesome to have that. And it's in the funny part I like about Lambeau Field, it's right in the middle of a neighborhood, Mike. That is one fun thing I like about that. It's in the middle of a neighborhood. And it's going to be a lot busy when the draft comes, and Mike will be there. So it's going to be interesting to see that.
Good. And you know what's interesting? You know, again, not to get political, I'm on Twitter. But it seems like not only are we realizing that podcasts and like independent media can be just as good, if not better, than legacy media. But I'm not sure if this is a real article or not, but apparently Donald Trump Jr. says they're replacing some legacy media in the White House briefing room with independent reporters who have larger followings may be in the work. So people are starting to realize, you know, like people that are just passionate about what they're talking about and do it on a decentralized basis and don't necessarily have some big conglomerate telling them what to do or what to say because that's what's going to get clicked, are a lot more genuine way of doing media versus these big companies. I mean, think about it. You kind of had to do that in the past, right? Let's just go back history. Not to go to tangent. Let's go back to history, right? Without the internet, the way you got information out was
newspapers.
Well, that's even, I'm talking about way back, right?
Oh,
way back,
sorry.
like carrier pigeons or like word of mouth. So like you're playing like now you have the printing press, right? And the printing press creates newspapers, right? But not everyone can create a printing press, right?
You also had radio too.
Well, now we're going to get further. But I'm saying the printing press is the first time with newspapers, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, you need to have some kind of centralized way to get the word out because somebody needs to make the newspapers. You can't have 100,000 newspapers out there, right? So you have to have a certain number of newspapers. So that makes sense to centralize it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then we go to radio. Again, you need frequencies. You need all this equipment, right? So radio makes sense to centralize and have it as a big kind of thing. Then you go to TV, same thing. You need all this equipment, all this stuff on TV, right? You need it on the cables. Makes sense. But then they did it where it was free cable, right? Like it was basically using the government airwaves. Then they went to the cable news networks where it became a business to be in the news, right? And also it's up to each company to determine what they want to talk about. And we started to get these things where people were starting to just say their opinion rather than the news. But then came the internet, right? And then came YouTube and stuff like this. And really anybody can be the news now. It doesn't matter who you are. Literally all you need to do is write on Twitter, write a tweet out if you know something, right? Like
We've seen it happen with Big B.
You could have, right, exactly. Like it doesn't matter who it's whoever is the first person for the inside scoop gets it. And maybe you just have a friend somewhere. Maybe you know, or a maid at the guy's house and just know you overheard him, you know. Maybe you're on the train and you see the guy in front of you and you read his text message and you write out. Like the news can come from anywhere. It doesn't have to come from a centralized system anymore, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times we see with like Adam Schefter and
Ian Rappaport,
right? They're being utilized by one party in the negotiations that fed information to gain political gain or negotiation power against the other side.
Yeah.
Right. So that's not even news again. Now it's like leveraging the people, right? Mm-hmm. Leveraging public opinion. But what is news is this. I mean, now we're not like breaking news, but what we are doing is we're talking about the team. We're explaining our opinions. This is where opinions should come from. News should come from the people that are powerful, that have the inside impact, because it's very unlikely that what I'm saying is like some of this decentralized stuff. But when it comes to editorials or opinions and stuff, I want to hear the opinions of the people, not from some big conglomerate. Because again, it's not actually they're on the time clock, or they're on what do you call it? Just whatever narrative they're trying to set of the conglomerate. We have no narrative. I say what I want to say. You say what you want to say. A guest comes on, they say what they want to say. And people don't want to watch us. Good for them. You know, like it has nothing to do. Like we're not doing this for time, but we need to close up here in an hour and a half. But what I'm saying is that is what's really powerful, and I really hope in society, but really the Packers atmosphere, that people start feeling comfortable to talk about what they're passionate about.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely agree with you, Mike.
Podcast allows us to do it. Hopefully we allow other people to do it, but I'll stop there. I know I've gone a little bit.
All right, folks. Well, we appreciate everyone tuning in. Packers, they blow out the 49ers. It was great to see a PackReacts reunion out there, and Packers get the dub out there. Now they take on the Miami Dolphins in a cold weather game. Can they get the turkey leg for Jordan Love? And if the Packers win, NBC, you better have a turkey leg. Better have it.
That's right.
But yeah. But that'll do for the show, folks. We appreciate it. And where you can find us, of course, you can find us on PackReacts Twitter, as we're shooting it right currently on Twitter here right now. You can find me on the YouTube channel of Jeremy Hadler. You can check out my recent video of my Packers trip out to Packers vlog. That's gone over about 51 views, so check that out. And we're close to getting to 400 subscribers, guys. So close on that, Martin. But yeah, we appreciate it, folks.
All right, Jeremy. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to all the viewers.
Yep, you too.
8-3. Hopefully, we're about to become 9-3.
Yeah.
And hopefully, we'll have a guest on next week. I have something in the works, so I'll let you know about that.
All right. Go Pack Go, ladies and gentlemen.
Go Pack Go, guys.